Ah, the days of a blog post every month. We didn't know what we had until it was gone. Today we're going to be looking at Hytale's newly released postcards, including some combat teases, hidden features, and a few Easter eggs. That's right, we're continuing our epic journey of waiting for the epic journey to begin in a game that isn't out yet. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to Kweebec Corner. My name is Connor, and today on Hytale News Updates, we discuss another 3 new in-game images, this time pointing out potential new combat mechanics, mobs, and getting a closer look at player activities. The team is hiring for some interesting positions, plus I think we all need to consider readjusting our expectations once again for Hytale. I struggle with setting up multiplayer servers due to all the messiness and hardware stress, but with just one virtual private server from Server Pro, I can easily host a bunch of my favorite games. Simply by choosing my package, the location, and using a one-click installer, my game is ready to play. They offer powerful servers not just for Minecraft, but popular titles like Rust, Among Us, Valheim, and Gmod, which are now all available too. Each VPS comes with DDoS protection, so you and your friends can safely enjoy the games you love the right way. And if you have any issues, their dedicated support team is there to solve them. For more info, head to the link in the description below and click the VPS tab. Back to the video. In the first image of this week, set in Zone 1, there's a lot happening. The team say it's important to us that the world of Hytale feels inviting and immersive, a place where players can make their mark. We see a player with pink hair to the left of the image mining away at some, dirt with a copper or bronze pickaxe. Nearby is a modest house, the focus of this image. It seems to have about 3 or 4 floors, judging by window placement. The roof tiles are rather patchwork too, suggesting to me that this could have been an abandoned prefab that these players have found and rebuilt. We can see different roof tilings and even an unnatural extension of the building going up above the image itself. To add to this, there's still quite a few wooden boards and vines attached to this place, so there's plenty of work to go. We see a cat perched, sleeping near the chimney. I guess these Hytale cats are true to real life, climbing and sleeping all the time. Notice also on the house there are wooden shelves, repurposed as a more exterior decoration, allowing for ledges and windowsills, along with all the other standard Hytale blocks like half slabs and beams. Following this is a wooden sign, which points us towards some more players. 2 seem to be dancing along to the other, who is jamming on a guitar. More signs that music and instruments will be a performative experience to some degree. Still one of the features I'm most excited to see fleshed out. Check out my video on Hytale's music after if you want. Another happy doggo runs along by some fields of wheat. All seems to be healthy and ready to harvest, except this one. An example of withering crops and how timing could be essential when farming. Gotta keep a close eye on your wheat, like Stardew Valley. Let's get to the harder to spot things now. Right in the back is an elf of some kind, probably gathering a bucket of water for the farm. There's some standard chicken coops, and then we see team member Buddhacat running along with another player. That other player seems to have a cool sword. But what is it that Buddha is holding? Is it a fishing rod, a whip, some kind of wand or tool? Let me know what you think in the comments. Going even deeper, we see some cattle grazing, get a nice field of corn, as well as this bird flying on by. The whole back part of this image has some great lighting. Seriously, this sun glare on the water is, well, stunning. And we even get to see a smaller hut by a bridge. It seems a community truly is starting to thrive here. The theme, of course, in this image was players making their mark. We see it in more ways than one, whether it's carving out a plot of land, building your house, entertaining others, or contributing to the community. This image serves to show that players of all types can find something to do, some place they can feel worthwhile or important. That was a big one. The next postcard is a more simple image, but it suggests a lot of cool stuff. The combat capabilities of a Hytale avatar change dramatically depending on the weapon they wield. Here's a sneak peek at some of the new abilities and effects we're working on. We know that in Hytale there will be no definitive class options you choose from before starting the game. Rather, Hypixel wants you to be able to specialize dependent on the gear and items that you've gathered and equipped. So while you can become a mage, you're not locked to it. You can put down that staff at any time and pick up 2 mighty swords if you wanted. But that also means learning how to use those swords, and there'll likely be a lot of different gameplay styles to learn, especially when it comes to combat. Buddhacat, our brave and noble community coordinator, is wielding 1, possibly 2 one-handed swords as he performs some form of combo, lunge, spin, or charge towards the other player. Their body positions suggest they both have forward momentum, slightly tilted forward, with particle effects trailing behind the blades to indicate the type types of movements they made seconds before. Note that they seem to have made distinctive color changes between the players' weapons too, blue and yellow, both contrasting colors so that we can see what's happening more easily. Either the team are helping us to separate the attacks using color theory, or the colors represent some form of elemental charge or type of attack. We also see white whooshing lines in the corner here which further suggest that forward momentum, that charge attack. This fight is taking place in Zone 3, as is apparent by the snowy surroundings. Buddha's attire seems to be fairly Zone 2 or 3 inspired as well, a blue robe with an all too familiar symbol. The player we cannot identify dons a one-handed sword and a shield. I can't say that the wooden shield looks all that strong, and they're definitely not utilizing it in this moment, but similar to Buddha, this player appears to be performing another combo or charged swing attack. Except this one seems to involve some sort of yellow hazy smoke? Maybe it's sand or like wind magic? We've seen examples of similar charge attacks like that in the trailer, but seeing it in action, just visualizing how cool this could potentially be, swinging while moving swords, blocking, charging, jumping, and then combine all of that with like the ability to place blocks and all the other cool stuff, it's safe to say that when Hypixel are ready to show us combat, it'll be big. Lastly, the helmet of the right player almost looks like it's made of scarab hide. You've got some patterns there and even a horn, which is a cool tidbit. Postcard number 3. Be relieved because it's a big one. Seriously, we've got so much to talk about here. Returning to Zone 1 again, we're told a Hytale avatar's identity is bound up in the things that they create, the friends they make, and the myriad of ways in which they choose to express themselves. We know that this game seeks to place the player in a world where they feel empowered to do the things that they want to do. And boy, there's a lot to do. Starting off in the foreground, we've got a lovely set of fences, along with a blue elf-style character with pink hair and a backpack, running along a dirt path which seems well kept, likely by the resident farmer Propsy, a team member that we can see in the background within the wheat with his signature hat on. Behind him, we see some classic farming features, some chickens in a coop, a duck by a farming workbench, a well by some eggplants, and wait, is that a beehive? Bees confirmed in Hytale, everybody! Excellent. Also, cool looking tree in general with the dangling roots and everything. It'll be exciting to bring different types of plants from faraway zones to grow in your base. The barn itself has a huge set of doors, unusually huge. What's hiding in there? A tractor? A dragon? The Hytale Beta? The door itself has the tree symbol that we know relates to Gaia and the 5 naturally occurring elements. So perhaps this was an artifact that was collected rather than something that was crafted. Moving across the image, we get to my personal favorite part of this postcard. We see 2 mighty Kweebec Rangers standing guard atop platforms and shelves. If you look by this little guy here, you can even notice a small wooden effigy of Gaia, which we know they've been known to carve from concept arts. It's just so great to see it in game. It looks so cute. It seems as if these guys are standing guard to the settlement's entrance. Will this be something that we can do as players? Become Kweebecs? Or will we more likely befriend them as an ally faction and then recruit them to take up roles around our own camp? These may even be the Razorleaf Rangers we heard about long ago. Another familiar player runs between these guys who gladly let him pass. We also notice these spiky points on either side of the entrance. We have likely seen these peaks or spires in other builds, but here we see them demonstrated as a combination of 2 materials. One is stone from the Emerald Grove, while the rest of the build begins to transition into more Zone 2 themed sandstone blocks, with the peaks connecting, patterns lining up nicely, providing a great variety of options for builds wherever you've been or plan to travel in the world. Speaking of using blocks from different zones, I'm fairly sure the main buildings in the back are constructed from a darker oak and sets of Zone 3 blocks. There's another grand entrance, but also 2 large owl statues, which I believe we've seen once before in a Halloween image. A returning character from today's earlier postcard with the horns is shown running out into the courtyard, and to the right of that we see John Hendricks, another team member who is very fond of knight armor, selling his wares to someone who I believe is Buddha Cat. Oh, and notice this sideways stair here too. Very nice. Backing way out again to this fence, we see it borders a lovely berry grove, with wooden beams acting as pickets. Further along, we see chopped logs with an axe implanted into the trunk. We've actually seen this feature before, but I wonder if it's unique to axes and wood, or if we can stab all sorts of weapons into other blocks to leave a mark. Now to the white and grey house in the back, we see a new decorative flower block and an elf trying to enter or possibly lock the door to his abode. You may have missed it, but we also see the return of the elemental elemental earth spirit from one of last month's postcards. Seemingly, it's non-hostile, and perhaps is even acting as a guardian or pet to the players. Nice to know we'll be able to keep not just Kweebecs around, but these guys too. Now for some of those secret birds. We have a standard sparrow with a nest up here, as well as 2 blackbirds over here flying around an apple tree, of which there are many in this image. Evidently, a lot to see, just like I said. But I also believe this whole show and dance in the front is brought to life by the overwhelming presence of the mountain in the background. It just makes you feel like you're part of a grander world, one I know I can't wait to explore. This month has been filled with posts all about Hytale avatars, so maybe we'll even get some more character customization spotlights along with the combat in the near future. In other news, very important job roles were posted this week. The team is now hiring for a human resources assistant, who will assist with administration, helping with employee systems, and joining with managers to ensure the HR department runs correctly. They're basically the ones that will onboard new staff, carry out background checks, and answer all the important questions. There's also the fact that with a big company, more people to deal with, you've got to consider risk. People can take full weeks off or go missing for months. Someone needs to deal with approving absences and helping keep everyone paid correctly. In respect to the bigger picture, this role is also fairly essential if you're going to be heading into the public eye or planning to launch a big product. Another position Hypixel Studios is now hiring for is a games designer for competitive features. Reading the job description, we can see this person will work with design teams to balance combat experiences, as well as PvP, creating new competitive and cooperative minigames and game modes. They'll create systems that reward and motivate players across sessions and help to communicate to the team how to combine their skills in order to create fun experiences. Very likely, experiences outside of adventure mode. This role needs to be deeply intertwined with and understand the player base, of which there is none, because the game can't be played yet. So this role is definitely looking to create experiences outside of adventure mode, in my opinion, looking more to the future when the game launches. Many, of course, were quick to jump the gun, assuming that this meant the team were only just hiring a designer for PvP, that combat hadn't even been started despite the promise of a showcase over half a year ago. But for those of us who've been around long enough, we know this isn't the case. Hypixel isn't lying to us. Combat is already well into development, likely almost ready to test. This role, as I've mentioned, is specifically focused on multiplayer combat and competition, things that will exist in the servers and minigame that will be around at launch, not the adventure mode. Think about it. To confidently hire someone to make alterations to your combat system, to develop branching game modes like Hunger Games or Skywars, you've got to be pretty confident or close to solidified with the base combat system, right? I mean, you wouldn't start messing with alterations until you've got the first version. In my opinion, we don't need to worry. Next, I want to bring up the elephant in the room, or should I say in the community. Now that E3 is over and Buddha himself, the community coordinator for the team, confirmed there would be no appearance at Summer Games Fest from Hytale, eager fans are left feeling a little anxious and concerned. As usual, this can be seen in no better place than, of course, the Hytale Info subreddit. Many of us have been waiting almost 3 years for Hytale since the trailer. Some YouTubers I know have been waiting even longer since being shown a demo years before that. This game is taking its time, but for the right reasons. We know Hytale aims to be a huge project with lots and lots and lots of interactive areas beyond single-player adventures. Not to sound cheesy, but it's more than just a game. We've said that before. However, many Reddit threads this week did begin to not only question why Hytale wasn't at any events, but simultaneously, many were also making fun of those same fans for even expecting it. That nothing was confirmed, and that, as always, people were acting on coincidence and conjecture. We will speak more on this at a later date, but I think for now it's important to note that communities need to have these feuds, discussions, and memes. It's a dialogue. Clearly many aren't happy with waiting. Some are, but others are just too excited. One thing's for sure though, we all want this game. That hasn't changed. Sure, hype goes down and comes back up. Now 6 months without a blog post, of course a lot of people are going to become a bit more expectant. But to be fair, if you look back 2 years ago, the Reddit were demanding a blog post every week in some cases. I think this period has been the most patient we've ever been. This week, of course, we did just get another postcard, and while an exclusive reveal from the team on their social medias separate from any event is still technically possible in the coming months, from a second trailer to a beta announcement, I think most people would settle for a blog post at this point. Ah, the days of a blog post every month. We didn't know what we had until it was gone. Of course, with this week's news, no sign of slowing down from postcards, and some interesting late development positions being hired for, I think we can say that Hytale is in a good spot. The game is looking better than ever from what we can see, just hopefully we can see a little bit more real soon. As always, make sure to follow the hashtag HytaleFanart on Twitter for more, join my Discord in the pinned comment, remember to get Pride merch at kweekwee.com before the end of June, continue smiling, thank you for liking, subscribing, and thanks as always for watching Kweebec Corner. Stay safe and keep free.